Hey everyone, this is Eric Battersby with Hollywood 27 and Racism Blog. It's been a little quiet around here on the fighting racism front over at Hollywood27.com, but I've kind of had to step back into this for a little bit here just because of what's happening with the NFL National Anthem protests and how that kind of intercedes with obviously fighting racism and also with our military, because so many people have reacted to this in a bad way because of supposedly because of support for our military. It kind of shocked me when this Kaepernick situation hit because I never expect to see so much negativity over such a peaceful and well-intentioned protest. I mean, it's not like Kaepernick was inciting riots. He's taking a knee or sitting during the quiet singing of the national anthem. He's not, flipping the bird or doing anything crazy. And what really shocked me was how a lot of raging responses came to this from people I know and respect. It's not like this anthem outrage, as I call it, was coming from just crazy people. And there are a lot of good, stable people, and I want to go into why that's a problem, why we don't need that in this country right now. So let me go back to what happened with Kaepernick. So if you're offended by Cap's action, if you feel like it's an insult to your country or to the military and that you absolutely need to speak up about it and take a stand and go out on social media and just rip Kaepernick to shreds and talk about how, all the terrible things he's disrespecting, then if that offends you so badly that you feel the need to speak up, then you have to ask yourself this all-important question. What did you do when Eric Garner was essentially choked to death? What did you do when Laquan McDonald was shot 16 times by a Chicago police officer and murdered in the streets of the city? What did you do when a police officer in Charleston shot a man running away from him in the back over and over again and murdered him? We're talking about specific situations where black men were murdered by police when they clearly shouldn't have been. Not in the way that it went down. I mean, we're talking about three things that are absolutely atrocious. So what you have to ask yourself is this: if you found yourself reacting with more disdain to Colin Kaepernick taking a knee than you did when you saw Eric Garner killed, or any of these horrific events, then I strongly encourage you to take a look in the mirror and see what's staring back at you. Because we're not at this point. We don't have this problem. If everyone reacts to those murders the way that they're reacting to Colin Kaepernick's national anthem protests, okay? If you can sit back and watch someone killed for not paying cigarette tax, who just sits there and says, I can't breathe, and is killed because of it, but you're going to freak out when everyone's sitting there singing the national anthem and one guy just peacefully takes a knee, then there is something seriously, seriously wrong. And that's the problem that we need to address here. We need to, because everyone should be behind this. They shouldn't be causing a ruckus and being all pissed off about what Colin Kaepernick did. They should be saying, hell yes, that's what Colin Kaepernick did. That's what we all should be doing. And let me tell you what I think it means if you're one of the people who is seriously pissed off at watching Colin protest the national anthem. Because for me, if that is the case, then it's very likely one of two things, which I'll go into detail on over at the End Racism blog at Hollywood27.com. If you want to see more, you can read all of this over there. But for just this video, I'm going to just jump into the two things really quickly. Number one, you're at least to some degree a racist, and you may not even realize it. So that's not to call you out and say you're a bad person, but if you're reacting that way, there's a good chance that there's a part of you that has a racist tendency you probably should deal with. And I talk about that more over at the blog again. And number two, you're more concerned with the security blanket, which is essentially what our national anthem is, than you are with our security, with our actual security, because that is what's lacking. Security is what's lacking for some of our citizens in this country when they fear over-aggressive actions and lethal actions from the people whose salaries we pay to serve and protect us. All right, I'm not going to go further into those two because I could talk about that for an hour, and that's not really what the point of this video is. So you can click the link below to visit Hollywood27.com's End Racism blog and see more details on both of those points. But look, let me close with this. Initially, I wasn't super impressed with Kaepernick's choice to use the anthem as a protest tool. I wasn't. But I did always 100% defend his right to do that. And that said, as the situation has evolved now, I'm starting to think it might really be a great idea. And one that more and more of us should consider backing, not just ignoring. However, and this is a big however, it can't just be a kneel down during our anthem or a fist up. And that's because more needs to be done, with a specific goal in mind. So because otherwise the protest just fades away. And donating money is nice, but actions focused on actually solving the problem, that's what we need. I'll talk about that in my next post, but for now, like the legendary Tony Robbins says, focus on the desired end result and let that lead your actions. And the desired end result here is that we want the minority of bad police, we want them to be held accountable for their actions. Once we start holding bad police accountable for their actions, and more than that, police need to be properly trained and given the framework to be successful in their jobs. I've met a lot of good policemen, and I've met a lot of bad policemen in my days. I've been on ride-alongs. I talk about that at the blog. I have literally seen police in action abusing their power in a racist fashion. I've seen it multiple times. I've been in the car and I've seen it. And there needs to be a framework in place for that to be stopped, so that a police officer knows if he does that, he's done. Goodbye job, see you later. Because for the rest of us, when we screw up on the job horrifically, we're gone. There is no welcome back. Oh, sorry, I actually killed my boss. Oh, that's all right. Just, take a few months off without pay and then come back. You're good. So we need to focus on that as the end result. We need to work together to make that happen. And we need to do it together as Americans, all of us. So, look, the fact that Colin Kapernick is trying to use his privileged status as an NFL player as a force for good, that he's willing to put his neck on the line, that should make you respect the man more, and not vice versa. Colin he's earned his privilege to be at that point, yes, but he's also had to go through life as a black man in America, which means he's had to deal with flack that, a white guy like me hasn't. And if he's still willing to put his neck out in this state and to cause a movement of protests like this, you should respect him. And I don't think you should just respect him. I think you should kneel with him. Honestly, I think we should all kneel with him. And I think what really turns us is, not just the players kneeling, not just everyone on the field kneeling, which is where I'd love to see it headed, but what really needs to happen, which would bring chills to everyone, an entire stadium on one knee during the national anthem. And that is no disrespect to our military whatsoever. There are a group of people from the military specifically supporting Kaepernick in his actions because they know he is in no way disrespecting the military. It is everyone banding together to say, hey, we have a serious problem in this country and we're not going to stop until we fix it. And that is if you think about it, it's a perfect time to do it because it's a time when we're all unified. So if you use the anthem as a specific protest for one of the biggest things going on in our country and you galvanize everyone around that, how fast do you think we can get the change to happen? You think the authorities might be working 24/7 instead of, 1 hour a week or whatever's been happening for the last 3 years that we've had this thing escalating? How much harder do you think everyone works to get this resolved? How many more people do you think step in and help? So I would love to see a whole stadium kneeling during a game. I really would, but I can't control that. We can just try to build a movement and make it happen. Regardless, what I can tell you is this, and you can bet that I'll be kneeling or raising a fist during the national anthem to show my support until we get things to a point where we feel like we've actually made some headway and the protest actually met its purpose. All right, thanks for watching.